everyone. A very warm welcome to our storytelling by and for adults session. A very happy new year to all of you, wherever you are joining from in the world, isn't it? Because here we have people around the world joining in for the sessions. It brings me so much of joy to be hosting the very first storytelling session of this year. And what a wonderful way to begin with stories and imaginations and connections. We are especially excited because the much awaited Chennai Storytelling Festival 2026 is just starting next month, bringing together storytellers from around the world for both this time adults
ஐயோ
and
நான்
youth.
இது வழிக்கு தாண்டா போனேன் இந்த ஓபிஎஸ் வழிக்கு போனேன்டா.
Whoops. Okay, keep going. Whoops. Sheettal, you've got to unmute.
Yes, sorry. Energy is already building, and tonight feels like a beautiful beginning to that journey. So let's settle and open our hearts and steps into the world of stories. So today's very first storyteller is Gowri Bhargav from Chennai, and her story is Bumpkin's Destiny. I was so confused, Gauri. I was going on asking Eric, is it pumpkin? Is it pumpkin? And he said, you please clarify with Gauri and not with me. So such a story created by her, and the story reminds us that destiny often unfolds in unexpected ways, even for the most unlikely heroes. So over to you, Gauri.
Thank you very much, Sheettal, and thank you, Eric, for having given me the opportunity to tell a story today. I'm Gowri Bhargav, a storyteller from Chennai. So I conduct storytelling sessions and also workshop for teachers. And I'm also an avid reader and a writer. I've contributed to more than 20 anthologies. So I would like to keep my introductions short and let me just jump into my story, Bumpkin's Destiny. Yes, you heard it right. It's Bumpkin's Destiny. So for a moment, I want you all to close your eyes. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So let me begin my story. The leaves in myriad shades of autumn danced to the tune of the mellow autumn breeze. The air was cold but not too chilly, and some of the leaves that were on the ground seemed like a golden carpet, and the susurrating leaves filled the atmosphere with tranquil vibes. Now you can open your eyes. So I hope the feeling and mood of autumn has set in. So that was the season of autumn in the town of Louisville. The whole town, it was the beginning of October, and the whole town was getting prepared for the Harvest Festival and Halloween. And Ben's farm was all decked up. Ben's farm was decorated with lot of decorations, and Ben had even filled the seats of his wagon with hay so that children from the neighborhood could come, hop on and go for a wagon ride. There were huge pumpkin cutouts where children could take pictures, and he had even converted a part of his farm into a pumpkin patch. And the pumpkin patch had square, round, tall, short, all kinds of pumpkins, because children came to pick pumpkins and make them into jack-o'-lanterns. So that was very popular during the season of Halloween. While all this was going on, the pumpkins in the pumpkin patch were having a rather animated conversation. Did you know, yesterday, children from the neighborhood school, they came and they selected all the small pumpkins, and every child got to pick 2 pumpkins, said Curvy the pumpkin. She boasted of her curves, for which the square pumpkin replied, "Oh yes, they're going to be cherishing them like little pets." "And you know what?" said the round pumpkin. "Tomorrow, children from the neighborhood church are going to be coming to pick up pumpkins. I'm sure most of us will be taken," said the tall pumpkin. And while these 3 were talking, Bumpkin barged in and said, "Hey, in that case, I'm going to be picked up too, right?" And Bumpkin was called Bumpkin for the obvious reasons, because he was a pumpkin that was neither round, nor square, nor tall, nor short. He was such an odd-shaped pumpkin with a lot of bumps around him, and that's why he was named Bumpkin. So now that answers your question, right? And when Bumpkin said, "I wish I could be taken too," the other pumpkin said, "You? Have you ever had a chance to glance at your reflection? Don't ever have such baseless dreams, sweetheart. Do you see the trash can over there? That's going to be your most likely place." And when Bumpkin heard such harsh words, the metaphorical bumps seemed harsher than the bumps that were on his surface. He was really hurt, but he chose not to speak for the kind soul that he was. He just shrunk within himself. Why is this happening to me? The paths ahead I don't see. I wonder what is going to become of me. Why was I made to look ugly? What if I have a cursed destiny? Those were his words, and he did not know what his destiny was going to be. And the next day, as they were discussing, children from the neighborhood church came, and they picked up the square pumpkins and the round pumpkins, and once again Bumpkin was waiting. Is it going to be my turn too? Is it going to be my turn too? And when he kept looking at everybody anxiously, one of the pumpkins said, "Hey, sweetheart, don't even dream. You don't stand a chance here. So better just stay put and until your time comes into the trash can." Bumpkin once again, he just retreated. Why? Why were all the other pumpkins mocking him? What's wrong with him? Do I really look ugly? What's wrong with me? He was left with so many questions in his mind, and that night he slept with a heavy heart. And the next morning, one of the pumpkins said, "Hey, do you know, Farmer Ben is going to slash the prices of all the pumpkins by more than 50%, so all of us will be taken away." Bumpkin chose not even to speak because he knew whatever he said, the other pumpkins are going to be harsh with him. They're going to mock him. They're going to ridicule him and taunt him. So he just kept quiet. And one by one, so many children, so many adults, they came and they picked all the pumpkins, almost all the pumpkins. Bumpkin waited and waited and waited, but nobody came his way. And Farmer Ben, he just walked to the pumpkin patch. He lifted at Bumpkin and said, "Hey dearie, I pity you, but looking at all the bumps around you, I don't think you stand a chance, dearie. Let's wait and see." "You too, Farmer Ben? You too think I'm different and I'm not fit to be taken away by anybody? I thought Farmer Ben was a kind man, but he too thinks that I look ugly. Why is this happening to me?" he said. And that night he kept looking around and he kept thinking, contemplating, introspecting, looking at all the leaves around. Even the leaves look different. They are different in color, they are different in shape and size. Isn't that what makes something unique? Why is this happening to me? Why me? Do I really look ugly? Am I not fit to be anything? And as he was just screaming, somebody spoke to him. "Hey, buddy!" "Who's that?" He looked around. "It's me, look up!" He looked up and all he could see were the stars and the moon in the sky. "Hey, not so up, you Dumbo. Look to your right." And when he looked, he saw Mr. Scarecrow. "Is it you, Mr. Scarecrow, who's speaking?" "Of course, yes, dear Bumpkin," he said. "I have never heard you speaking, and why do you speak now?" "Because I choose to always listen to conversations, and today I felt I had to talk with you. You need a lot of talking and cajoling." Really? And Mr. Scarecrow, you have such tattered clothes and your hat is broken. Don't you ever feel depressed? Depressed? Me? I never feel depressed. You see, every spring the warblers lay their eggs and I see them hatch into beautiful birds. And I also look at the beautiful spring flowers. It fills my heart with so much joy. And during summer, the blazing sun keeps me energized. And I see a lot of animals running around in the farm and the vegetables that are harvested. It's so nice. And during autumn, the myriad shades of autumn along with the mellow breeze, it flutters my heart. Then, said Pumpkin, then winter must be really depressing, right? Depressing? Winter is never depressing, my dear. Winter, I introspect and I recollect all the memories of the seasons that have passed. And I am at peace. I look at the beautiful wintry landscape and it fills my heart with so much of peace. So there's never a moment of lull for me. I am always happy. You see, happiness is something very personal. It's what we make from our life. Really, Mr. Scarecrow, you sure are a person of great wisdom. I need to learn so much from you, and I'm so glad I have company finally. That's good, dearie. I'll always be your friend. Then Pumpkin said, but I still don't know what's going to be happen to me and what my destiny is going to be. Come on, Pumpkin. Why are you worried about your journey or destination? Just be happy with the company. Yes, Mr. Scarecrow. That's a nice message. I'm not going to be bothered about what's going to happen to me tomorrow or what my destination is going to be. I'm very happy that I have company finally. Someone who's going to talk with me every day. Let's not be bothered about what's going to become of me. That's like a good pumpkin, Mr. Pumpkin, said Mr. Scarecrow. And day after day, Pumpkin and Scarecrow kept talking and talking and talking. And finally, it was the day of Halloween. All the pumpkins had gone. They were taken away. And Pumpkin was the only one left in the pumpkin patch. And on the day of Halloween, Ben's farm was all decked up. String lights were hung all over Ben's farm in the shape of pumpkin. The wagon had a signboard that said, "Welcome to Ghost Town." And there were huge pumpkin cutouts, slide, swing, and lot of games. And Ben's pumpkin pies were being given away in dozens. So all the children during dusk, they came dressed up in different costumes. Ghosts, owls, vampires, witches, wizards, a variety of costumes. And they were all running around, going on the wagons, going trick-or-treating and so many different things. And Pumpkin and Scarecrow, they just were watching at all the activities that were going on, just enjoying each other's company. And finally it was night. Pumpkin had a teeny little wish. Maybe I would be picked up today. But he waited and waited. Nobody came to pick him. But he did not bother. It's okay. Whatever is going to become of me, Mr. Scarecrow, I have you always. You're always going to be next to me, said Pumpkin. And the next morning, Ben came towards Pumpkin. And Pumpkin was wondering what he was going to do with him. He lifted him and he said, "Oh, dearie, look at you. You have so many bumps around and a part of you is even looks like it's rotting. I guess the trash can is going to be the right place for you, dearie." Pumpkin felt as though his heart was getting squeezed. But he was happy about all the nice days spent with Mr. Scarecrow. He had enjoyed his company. He was not bothered about what was going to become of him. And as Ben marched towards the trash can, Ben looked at the trash can and the trash can was filled with so much of garbage. Pumpkin pies, half-eaten pumpkin pies that were infested with maggots, soiled napkins and wrappers. There was absolutely no place for Pumpkin there. So before tossing him into the garbage bin, Ben looked at Pumpkin and said, "Oh dearie, you don't seem to have a place even in the trash can." Then he looked around and there was a broken basket. He placed Bumpkin inside the broken basket and said, for now I'll place you here and then think about what to do. And Ben marched away. And Bumpkin looked at Mr. Scarecrow and said, this is much better, don't you think? After all, I'm at least not in the trash can. And they just had a laugh. So even during the most difficult times, Bumpkin had learned to laugh because of Mr. Scarecrow. And Mr. Scarecrow said, it's still not over yet, Bumpkin. You never know what destiny has in store for you. And after a while, Scarecrow looked at Bumpkin and said, hey Bumpkin, look, Farmer Ben is coming back again. And Farmer Ben marched towards Bumpkin. He lifted Bumpkin and went to the store. Bumpkin was kind of perplexed. What is Farmer Ben going to do with me? He wondered. And he placed him on the counter. And Bumpkin looked. And do you know who was there? There was an old lady. Wrinkles shrouded her face. And her grey hair was unkempt. She was wearing a tattered shawl. And she said, can I have a pumpkin? I need to feed all the children who are living next to my house. And Ben said, you could have come last week. I don't have any pumpkins left. And this is the only pumpkin that I have with me. This is bumpkin with a lot of bumps and it's almost rotting in one side. Oh, never mind. This pumpkin is the perfect pumpkin for me. I'll be so glad if you give him to me, she said. And Ben happily gave away Bumpkin to the old lady. And the old lady marched outside and Bumpkin was still not able to believe the stroke of luck. But he wondered where the old lady was taking him. And after a while, suddenly, Bumpkin realized there was a sparkle in the air. And there was a lot of mist around him. And the old lady did not look like an old lady anymore. Her alabaster skin shone and her green eyes were the kindest eyes that he had ever seen. And her grey hair transformed into auburn tresses that fluttered with the autumn breeze. And her tattered gown changed into a resplendent gown that was strewn with autumn leaves. And she had wings. And Bumpkin said, who are you? And she said, dear Bumpkin, I am the Autumn Fairy. Autumn Fairy? And where are you taking me? She said, you know what, Bumpkin? For being very kind and for being just who you are, you have been chosen to be taken to fairyland. You will be mentoring all the little fairies there, teaching them lessons of kindness and goodness and patience and so much more. And Bumpkin said, I know, Mr. Scarecrow always said I had a great destiny ahead of me. Oh, Mr. Scarecrow always knows, said Autumn Fairy. And how do you know, Mr. Scarecrow? And the Autumn Fairy said, you know what? Mr. Scarecrow is our secret messenger. He listens to all the conversations and every year he gets to choose one pumpkin to come to fairyland. And this time it is you, Bumpkin. You are the chosen one. And look what destiny awaits you. Bumpkin was so happy. Regardless of how he looked, he was appreciated by the Autumn Fairy and he was all set to go to fairyland. Can there be a better destiny? So off he went to fairyland with the Autumn Fairy and he lived happily ever after. Thank you.
That was an awesome story, Gauri. Amazing. I was wondering what was going to happen, in the end, but yes, it came out to be something really, really extraordinary.
Yeah, something
Well,
fantasy along with
yes,
anthropomorphism.
so a simple act of kindness becomes the doorway to an extraordinary journey. It applies to us as well, isn't it?
True.
So it is said that the pumpkins light the darkness and the scarecrows guard the threshold, right? Reminding us that autumn is a time when worlds quietly meet. So, one question to you, like, do we shape our destiny or does destiny slowly shape us? Like, if this question comes to you, what would you say?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I have to come really near to listen to somebody. Yeah, can you repeat the question once again?
Do we shape our destiny or does destiny slowly shape us? Like, from this story, what would be the reply of
Yeah,
yours?
destiny slowly shapes us, but we also have to believe in it and believe that we are going in the right direction and the universe always conspires for the right reason.
Yes, absolutely. Over to you, audience.
There was a certain innocence in the narration. I love the story for that. And, it touches you in a simple and very sweet way. It's a nice story.
Thank you.
May I?
Of course.
Thank you, Gauri, for that lovely story. I enjoy like a 5-year-old, but the lessons or the takeaways that I have are definitely that of an adult. I would like to share a couple of observations quickly. One of them is it isn't over till it's over. It
Right.
isn't over till it's over. So I think the scarecrow says that wait, it's not
Yeah.
over. And I guess we all need to say that to ourselves. It isn't over till it's over. Also, since somehow when you were describing the bumps on the pumpkin and how he felt and how the world was treating him, I think that is the simplest metaphor that you could give today to us for inclusion and acceptance of the unique.
Exactly.
So I think our children really need to understand that people with neurodiversity are one of us. They might just appear different, but they are beautiful. And there is a whole sea of emotions inside. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I wanted to include inclusivity here, so in a very subtle way. So glad that it resonated.
Though, may I? So, though
Yes.
you wanted to include it in a subtle way, for children, yes, for sure, it would have been a subtle way. For us, it came direct. You know, actually, when you said that they tried to throw in the dustbin, but there is no place in the dustbin, also. So, like a storyteller or an aspiring writer, I thought they will throw it back into the mud and new pumpkin plants will come from pumpkin, you know. So that was the ending I was thinking of. But it's such a cute story, as Sreeja mentioned. Very, very cute. And although it's winter time now, you took us back to the autumn with your starting, and it was beautifully narrated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
This is a story. Am I audible, Sheettal?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
See, this is a story I've read to children a couple of times. And of course, you can add the values like how now, the current state and environment. So you can add that also. Thank you. It was good.
So I feel the storytelling has changed, the way children learn nowadays because they pick up these things very easily.
Yeah.
They are accepting it. Before it wasn't like that. But now, after, we have changed things into storytelling and the way we tell it to them, they have started accepting this things also. So I'm good that, we are more to spread this message to people.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in the written format, I have more of poems interspersed along with the story, but while telling, I did not tell. So there are a lot of rhymes in between.
Oh, okay. You can share with us if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can surely share. It's there. It was written for a literary platform. It's also there on my website.
Yes, you can share us the link, please.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, that's super. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so we'll move on to our next teller, Sree Karuna from Vishakhapatnam. And she's telling the story The Contrary Fairy, a folk tale from Canada. A playful yet thoughtful tale that challenges the idea of always going with the flow. Over to you, Sree Karuna.
Thank you, Sheettal. And yeah, I'm Sree Karuna from Vishakhapatnam, a little above Chennai, a little above Gowri. And I tell stories under the banner of Chandamama Katha, being a Selenophile. And my story goes like this. Um, all of us know that fairies are very, very, very good. They're angelic and they always give beautiful gifts and beautiful wishes. There is a contrary fairy in my story today, as you have introduced. Long, long ago, very long ago, when fairies and their magic wafted, and there were princes and princesses and castles and everywhere, there were two kingdoms. And both the kingdoms were next to each other. They were little tiny kingdoms with beautiful meadows and sheep grazing and cows grazing and green grass, flowery fences, little cottages and castles. And it was a fairy tale kind of setting between these two little kingdoms. And the best thing about these both kingdoms, they did not have enmity with each other. They never fought. They were friends. And one fine day, there was rejoicement in the palace of one of the kingdom. Why? Because a little cute princess was born. There was so much happiness prevailing across all. Everybody rushed to the palace. They were so joyful for the king and the queen. Oh, alas, our beautiful princess has been born. Everybody wanted to gift her. And when all the guests left, the queen was waiting for someone. It was none other than Le Spirit de Joy, the fairy who is very angelic, and she came aloft on her little tiny chariot with, drawn by silver dragonflies. She comes, she sees the princess, and she says, "This princess is going to bring lots of happiness to you. She is going to grow up and spread joy everywhere. And my blessings for her, wherever she goes, may flowers bloom and fruits ripen." And all this rejoicement and happiness and merry disturbed someone out there. That was the contrary fairy, miserable. She suddenly woke up. Oh my God, what all this noise? What is this merriment? Oh, got disturbed. And on her chariot, which is driven by black twin cats, she arrives. And just when she saw that the, angelic fairy was giving this wish, she said, "Ugh, let me see how it is going to happen." And she moves away and nobody sees where she stays. Maybe she's staying in a hole somewhere. She just disappears, and like an insect that detects a food, she smells joy and merriment, and she arrives there and determines that I am going to disturb this joy. And she left. After a few days, there was joy and merriment in the neighboring kingdom as well. Why? There was a little tiny prince born in the neighboring kingdom, and again all the people were very happy for the king and queen, and there was merriment in the palace. And again came Lisbeth de Joy. This time she whispered in the queen's ear, "I see some trouble ahead for the prince, but don't you worry. I'm giving you this ring. When he's capable of, wearing the ring, please make him wear the ring. It is the ring of deliverance." The queen nods her head, and before leaving, again, she blesses the child. She says, "May you be kind and may you be loud and may you have all the happiness." And again, all this joy and all this merriment woke up whom? The contrary fairy. Again, she wakes up. Who is this? So much. Oh my God, I just can't. How can people be so merry and so happy? This is like irritating me. And she comes and again on her chariot drawn with black cats, black winged cats, and she says, "You're wishing them this? Let's see what is going to happen." And she is pouting like as though she sucked on a lemon, and with arched eyebrows and frowning forehead, she looks at all and then she disappears. And seasons rolled by, spring after autumn, autumn after winter, winter after spring and summer. And the weeks rolled into months and months rolled into years, and the prince and princess, they both grew up. And for everybody's joy, they both fell in love with each other. And both the kingdoms, people rejoiced. Oh my God, such a lovely couple this prince and princess make. They are so made for each other. This is not an alliance of love between two souls. It's an alliance of love between two kingdoms. And all the people were rejoicing. And finally, they decided on a day when the prince and princess are going to get married. And arrangements started much in advance. People started planting flowering trees. They started painting their houses. They started getting their costumes made and all that. And the prince and princess were so happy seeing that everybody is happy for us both to come together. And as usual, as they know that they're going to get married and all, and they went on a stroll on their horses. They got down from the horse and they were talking to each other. And when the evening became night and the moon shone bright, and suddenly the princess said, no, it's so dark. I think I need to go back to the palace. My mom said that the seamstress is going to come and my wedding gown is going to be ready and I have to try it and all that. Prince said, please wait for some more time. My heart is not full looking at you under the moonlight. The prince said, just few more days, then I'll be forever with you. And he said, okay, if you're going, I'll pluck some beautiful flowers, these wild flowers, and I want to give them to you. And the princess leaves. But again, all this merriment of the people and all woke up whom? It is again the contrary fairy. She wakes up, and just when she's passing by, she saw that the prince and princess were hugging each other and all that love and joy. She couldn't see. Oh my God, how obnoxious. I won't let this happen, she said. And she hid behind a dark cloud. And she followed the princess, and the princess tried on her wedding gown. The maids were scurrying along, buttoning her up and, tightening the corset, and the silk was flowing. And the princess just stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her curls, looking at her slender waist and bosom and the way the frock fell on her. And oh my God, I am looking so pretty. What a beautiful bride I will be, she was thinking. And just the dark cloud engulfed her, and she was whisked away. It was the contrary fairy. She took the princess and put her in a crude cottage with no door, just thorn, a thorn hedge near the door, and it was a very drudging cottage with dark and damp and no light. The princess was like, where am I? Oh my God, how did I come here? And then suddenly she remembers, because of all the evening she spent with the prince and all this trying and all, she was feeling hungry. She hadn't eaten since afternoon. And as soon as she thought, I'm hungry, and looked outside, immediately those boughs with thorns and all, they were branches of a cherry tree. Immediately they flowered, and immediately the fruit came and they ripened. The birthday blessing that Lee Spirit Day Joy had given had come, and she plucks those cherries and starts eating them. Oh my God. I'm so thankful that I could quench my hunger, but what will happen to my wedding with the prince? When will I come out of here? She thought. And meanwhile, the prince was still plucking, making it a bigger and bigger bouquet of wildflowers. And then the contrary fairy comes. Now, no longer you would be able to torment me. A little blue fox you're going to be, she said. And immediately the flowers dropped from the prince's hands. In the hands, sharp nails were growing, and in the place of the skin, blue fur was growing. His face was getting longer, and eyes were coming up, and he saw what happened to me. And then he went into the woods because he couldn't go into the city. And when he went and ran into the woods, there he saw this cottage, and there he he could hear the princess crying, and thought, oh my God, that is my princess. How come she is here? And then he goes near the thorn hedge and he peeps inside. The princess looks at the fox and it says, I'm all alone. Come, 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 be with me, stay with me. And the prince feels so sad. She is my princess, and I'm not able to tell her I am your beloved prince. What a torment this is. Oh my God, she's not able to recognize me. She's not able to understand me. He goes inside. She pats his head. The warmth of her hand he could feel, but he can't say, I am your prince. Immediately he turns around. He wriggles through the hedge of the door and he runs and runs and runs and flops under a tree. And the prison of his body of the fox is like tormenting him and he's sobbing. Meanwhile, in the palace out there, both the kingdoms, the queens and kings were wondering what happened to our prince, what happened to our princes. They were supposed to be married. How come they disappeared all of a sudden? And then Lisbeth Joy comes to help in the kingdom of the prince, and she says, I told you there is going to be trouble with the prince. Did you give him the ring that I gave you? And the queen realizes, no, you told me to put the ring when he's ready, but I kept it in a safe place, but I completely forgot about it, she says. And she says, and she comes and gives her the ring. She says, can you please help find the prince? And the fairy Joy, she takes the ring and she keeps flying here, there, and where the prince and princess were last seen. And there she saw that wildflowers were strewn there, and from there, she saw that the human footprints vanished, and from there are animal footprints. She follows the footprints, and then it leads her to the prince, the fox, who is crying. And she descends and she says, my dear son. And the fox looks at him with bright eyes. The fox recognizes the uh, angel, and as though about to talk something, is opening his mouth, and the fairy says, you're supposed to wear this ring, but there are no fingers. Where do I put the ring of deliverance to you? And the fox is trying to do something. I want to be with my princess. And again, he opens his mouth. And, oh, you want me to put the ring on your tongue? Here you go. And she puts the ring on the tongue, and immediately the prince turns around and rushes and reaches the cottage again. And the Lee-spirited Joy fairy follows him. And when she comes there, she sees the princess and she says, oh my God, at least the blessing I gave on her birthday is keeping her alive. But my powers are not enough for me to break her from this cottage and, bring her out. What do I do? She's wondering. Meanwhile, the princess has seen the prince. And she says, you have come back to me. I was feeling so lonely in this wretched captivity. Come, 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 sit next to me. Be with me. Be my company, the princess was saying. And though the thorns were piercing the back, the fox wriggles and goes inside. And seeing the ring on the tongue of the fox, the princess says, you know what? I was supposed to be marrying my beloved prince. I don't know where he is. The fox is looking. I am your prince, but you're not able to recognize me. And she says, oh, you want me to marry you? You want me to pretend that you are my prince? So be it. And she just takes the ring and, puts on the finger, and she says, let us be together forever until death does us apart. And suddenly there was a sound, and there is so much light that the princess had to close her eyes. And when she opens, there is no cottage, nothing. In front of her, her beloved prince is standing. And both of them are so joyful looking at each other. And then they reach the palace and everybody is rejoicing. The prince and princess have come back, and the wedding was like nobody has ever seen before. There were fireworks in the sky, and there were feast of every cuisine that was available. There were fruits and cakes and pies and plums. And oh my God, everybody were rejoicing. There was music, there was laughter, there was dancing, everything was going on. And with that much of sound and laughter and rejoicement, who wakes up? The contrary fairy. The contrary fairy was, astounded. What is happening? There was supposed to be misery. People are supposed to be crying. How come there is so much merriment? There is so much joy. And when she came and she saw that every single being, whether it was a child or an old man or a lady or a gent, everybody's rejoicing, everybody's so happy, and everybody's embracing each other. And she couldn't bear it. The contrary fairy, she rotated and rotated and flew with so much rage that she just disappeared into particles just like the fireworks. And thereafter, nobody heard about the contrary fairy. And the prince and the princess lived happily ever after.
That was a super, super, super story, Sree Karuna. Like, I feel while it carries the charm of a fairy tale like Rapunzel, the story turns the idea on its head by celebrating being contrary and choosing your own truth. Isn't it? First, I thought you will be having something like, ending like a Rapunzel. But yes, it was totally different and it was super, very nicely told, and it was a lovely story. So, one question to you, I was just wondering, like, is being different a weakness? Here, a fox, the prince became a fox, and he couldn't tell the princess, right, that I am your prince and I'm here too. So, being fox was a weakness, or what do you think, like, was a strength?
I felt that there are testing times always. How much ever life is a fairy tale, there are testing times always. But when one, whether it's a prince, princess, or a layman, anybody, they don't let go of their core value, I mean, of being kind or of being patient or of, so that is that quality when the joy fairy had said, "May you be kind and may you be loud." I think that is what was the strength of the prince. So whatever form it is. And the reason that I chose this is like life is not all joyful and not always merriment and rejoicement. So there is always a contrary in the form of a fairy, in the form of a feeling, in the form of adversity, in the form of a life situation. The contrariness always seeps in. In the new year, we wish each other, everybody, Happy New Year. But 365 days and 24 by 7, none of us can be happy. There are contrary things happening across the world also. Sometimes as distant as something happening across Gaza and all also brings a tear in our eyes. So in spite of the contrary thing, when we are kind and when we are loving, again we come back to our happiness. So this is the feeling that came to me when I read this story. Generally, I'm not a person who tells fairy tales, but yeah. So this is what I liked in the story, and I chose this.
Okay. Can I speak?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
Shrija.
Yeah, I it was a beautiful story, and like all fairy tales, one of the little things I liked is how every time the contrary fairy woke up, when there was merriment, to get up and be miserable, and that's beautiful the way it's played in the story. And you're so right. There's so many. It's never one dimensional. You have so many things when you have there's happiness and there's stuff that mess up things, but it's how things get around. And fairy tales always leave you with a sense of hope at the end. That of course we know that everything can't be happily ever after, but at the same time it's hope. There's nothing wrong in hoping,
Yes,
and you never know where that'll take you.
yes,
Very nice
absolutely.
narration.
Absolutely agree with you. Thank you, Shrija.
Yes.
I'm totally loving it. The narration and the questions, the answers. Definitely, it's a reminder that our life is a warp and weft, a tana bana of merriment and the challenges. But rather than feeling scared that 365 days can't be happy, I guess something that most of us know, the moment our lifeline is straight, we are dead.
Yeah,
So the ups
absolutely.
and downs is important, and to
Yes,
appreciate
yes,
light, we must know the darkness. I would
absolutely.
really want to appreciate Sree Karuna's body language usage, the way she changed the voice modulation she did, and I think there was a lot of ease in the narration. So, as a storyteller, my appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Free. Means a lot.
Yes,
I'm
anybody
not
else?
someone who practices for multiple times. I'm more of a spontaneous teller. I give a few readings and then the story gets into my this one, and then it comes from my heart. So because I don't practice multiple times, always there is that butterflies and nervousness and all that. But your validation made my day. Thank you so
No,
much.
but the way what you were telling was dil se.
Yeah.
So yes, it was the flow was so natural and it was coming out. लग नहीं रहा था कि practice की हुई है, but it was coming out then too so smoothly, and the excitement you were showing, and that all was amazing. So you were
Thank you so
super.
much, Sheettal. Thank you.
Yes, anybody else?
Yes,
Okay, so
loved your telling, Sree Karuna, and there's so much of peace whenever I listen to your story. So it fills me with so much of peace. So yeah, loved it, and the emotions came through so well.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
yes, anybody else? Okay, so let's move on to our next teller today, Jayanthi Balasubramanian from Chennai again. She's sharing the story The Hero, a fictional story by R.K. Narayanan. This story invites us to, rethink who a hero truly is. So over to you, Jayanthi ma'am.
Thank you, Sheetal. My name is Jayanthi. I'm from Chennai. I've been an educator for 3 decades and more. And recently, I opted to retire from full-time job to take up my passion. I do a lot of voluntary work now, but other than that, I do uh, more. I was concentrated in teaching before. Now I do much more. My varied interest. I picked up few hobbies also. So R.K. Narayan's story. Can I get into the story without? See, I have enjoyed reading R.K. Narayan stories from childhood. Simple prose form. I really enjoy that. Also, see, there is some. Is it all right? I mean, okay. There is something to carry from his stories. Here, of course, everyone will tell about who a hero is. But in the end, I want to ask a few questions. Let me first start with a story. Swami's evening time was always spent with his father. His father would immerse himself in the newspaper. And that particular day, the father was reading a news item about a courageous boy, you can say, who was chased by a tiger. And he not only tried to fight with the tiger, but he escaped. He escaped up on a tree. And half a day he spent there. Few villagers who happened to come that side, they rescued him. And so the father was looking at Swami. What do you think about this? Swami was telling, what? A young boy? I mean, I think they have made up the story, Papa. It must be a strong man. I don't think a small boy can fight with a tiger. Then the father was annoyed. You think that the newspaper would publish items which is not true? See, people may be very strong like an elephant. They may not have courage. Whereas a puny man without any strength may have a lot of courage. So, innocently, Swami asked. So, you say that if I have courage, I can also fight with the tiger? And he got into the trap. The father said, yeah, if you have the courage. So first let us test your courage. And he suggested that Swami should sleep in the office room. And the office room part was cut off from the other part of the house. Generally, he would sleep beside his granny in the passage. And now, this was a very strong move. Swami was not even prepared for anything like that. So he just wanted to play, something saying, Father, can we do this? Or our school cricket team, they have come up with a new idea now. The father said, shh, no more talking about anything else. You have to sleep in the office today alone. See, first it was just a preposition, and now it has come out like a command. And his father was very strict in his commands. And the reason he gave is he did not like the way Swami was treated by his granny and his mother. And he looked at his mother. The mother got angry. She was just cradling the baby. And she said, where do I have the time to even look after him? Only your mother does. If you dare, or if you have the courage, you tell her. And father gloomily put his head in the paper again. And so Swami thought that the topic was over. He tiptoed to his usual place of sleep beside his granny. And as soon as he reached there, his granny asked him, what, Swami? You're feeling sleepy already? And I've not even told my story today. He was wildly gesticulating. He was telling, shut up, Granny. Don't open your mouth. I don't want father to hear. Even if the house is on fire, don't wake me up. If I don't sleep now, I may perhaps die also. So telling this, he put his blanket over his head and started snoring. Party could not say anything. After some time, Swami felt that his blanket was rudely pulled by someone. And in the light, the light from the hall which comes there, that kind of cone shape. So he thought, what? A ghost is already here? And that was his father. His granny, Swami's granny, told his father, why do you want to disturb the small boy? Let him sleep. Allow him to sleep. But the strict father, he rolled up the blanket and put it under his arm, said, follow me. And so Swami had to go behind him. No other way. On the way, in the hall, he begged, Mama, please. Then Mama was telling, why can't he sleep in the hall at least? Let him sleep here. Get used to sleeping alone. Then you send him to the office room. Father said, nothing doing. He is going to sleep there only. And Swami was asking, Father, there is so much of dust. I know there are scorpions also behind the books. Please, I don't want to sleep there. No scorpion, nothing. Then Swami, last one, he asked, can I leave on the light at least? Father said, no. Get used to the darkness. You should build up this as a habit of being courageous. Let us see. And so he made Swami spread the bed, sheet, whatever, on a bench there. And Swami had spread it. And father turned off the light and he warned before going, don't come to the passage. And that's a final thing. If you do that, I may spread it to your school that what a coward you are. And so Swami had no other go. So he tried to sleep. First, there was little sound. Now the whole world, became very silent. After some time, he could hear the humming of the bees, the insects, and then he thought that some may come even to his room. And then there was someone snoring, then the rustle of the trees. So he thought that somebody is walking outside. And last, he heard the ticking of the clock. So he understood that the time was just going. Then, how much ever he tried to sleep, he could not even shut his eyes. Then what happened? He was reminded of all the stories about the ghost and the devils, and Mani has told him, his classmate Mani had told him that there is a ghost under the banyan tree in the street, same street. And then Manigandan, his father, once when he was coming through the river bank, something slapped him on the face and he spat blood. All this came to Swami's mind. As it is, he couldn't sleep. Now, all the more. And then what he thought, why not I spread the bed under the bench? At least I will have some covering on top of me, so I can try to sleep. So he pulled everything and spread all this under the bench. He tried to sleep and he had nightmares after nightmares. There was one particular thing. He was being chased by a tiger and that was not leaving him. So that was the worst nightmare and that was going on and on and on. He could even feel the scratching he could hear the scratching of the nails of the tiger. He could not even move his legs. Then he tried to see for his granny who would be there by his side. But he realized when he touched the wooden plank, the bench, the leg of the bench, he understood his predicament. My God, I am in this office room alone. No one is there. And he could listen to something moving. Apart from the scratching sound, which was real, he could see something, he could feel something move from the street light, which was showing some light in the room. He could see some movement also. And he was reminded of a ghost which lifts a person by the neck. And he was so scared. He thought his heart would come outside, out of the mouth. And that was the thing. He thought that I am going to die now and that's it. Because he had heard in the school in 4th grade, there was a boy who was lifted by some creature and he was taken to Siam and Nepal, some place and all. So he thought, gone. And before giving up, what he wanted to do is, let me give one fight, at least in the end. So he tried to put his hand out and he caught some figure. He thought whatever it is, and then he gave a nice bite. And there was this sound, Ayo, Kachutanga, Kachutanga. And that's it. What happened? This man who had come to burgle the house, he fell on the furniture and there was so much of noise that his father, servant, cook, everybody came. So that was the end of that night. Next day, what happened? There was a big ceremony which was happening in the school. And his headmaster, who was so strict, he would not even dare go near him. He patted Swami's back and he said, really, I'm so proud of you. You have done so much for the school. School can now publish, right? And then there was this policeman who was there. He congratulated Swami and he said, Swami, you have to become a policeman. You know what? We need this kind of people for our country. And Swami said, yes, sir, definitely, sir. But in his heart, he wanted to become an engine driver, a bus conductor, a railway guard. He doesn't want to go beyond that. So he just nodded. Evening, his father came home after his duties, and then first thing is asked, where is the boy? Is he sleeping in the hall or he's sleeping in the room? The mother was so angry. She said, leave him alone. I would have lost him yesterday for all the things. Let him sleep wherever he wants. He has already gone to bed. Poor child, he has not slept the whole night. He went to bed by 7:30. And that's it. He could hear his father say, do whatever you want. Let him be the way he wants. So Swami was so happy that his father has given up the idea of making him sleep alone in the office room. See, generally from this we guide others to ask questions like, is he a real hero? Or, but what I want to give a little information here is, see, where we as teachers, many times we have seen children very different from each other. Some may be so courageous outside, but inside they may be very timid. And the father-son relationship. See, the boy was thinking when the father was taking him to the office room, he was thinking that this father has become cruel towards him. See, because he is so kind, he is looking always at the father as a child. But the father, when he wanted to be strict with the child, he turned a little cruel. So that had made this boy sad or even angry. See, so many times when we deal with children, I think we have to be deal according to the nature of the child. That's my opinion. Now I am open for questions.
That was a wonderful story, Jayanthi ma'am. Superb.
Thank you.
Yes. So, yes, as you told, it invites us to rethink who the hero truly is. And we moved on to fairy tales, to the real everyday life story, where heroes are living among us. So the story did that. So, yes, over to audience, please.
May I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm happen to be a fan of R.K. Narayan's writing as well. So I loved the way you brought his story to life. Somehow the coziness of the story was captured in your narration. So that was
Thank
really
you.
lovely, ma'am. Yeah, it was really nice. And the fact that it brings to mind, excuse me, what Roald Dahl once said, that you have to sit down, go down on your fours, and look up to understand how a child sees an adult. So how the perspective changes completely. So what the father sees and what the boy sees is two completely different perspectives, each one good in its own. So that's brought out in such a simple style of storytelling, and that's where the author's greatness lies. The narration was wonderful. I enjoyed the story.
Thank you so much.
I think I need to say ditto to what Sreeja said, because we all are fans of R.K. Narayan,
Yes.
Swami, and Malgudi days, and yeah, Jayanthi ma'am, you did complete justice to the kind of story that you chose and
Yes.
Thank you.
brought to us. Very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. I love R.K. Narayan stories, and especially anything to do with children. That is my, I feel, I can relate more.
All right.
The two words
There's a
that come to me are exactly it's so relatable. The writing part is very identifiable, and the way you presented it, it's very real. So much to learn from you, Jayanthi ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. You made my day. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so shall we move on to our next teller?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So next we travel into the world of ancient wisdom with Sreeja Mohandas from Bangalore telling the old man of the sea from 1001 Arabian Nights. A story rich with symbolism, resilience, and human struggle. Over to you, Sreeja.
Thank you. So, a quick brief, if you could say, about me. I am a trainer, a counselor, and a writer. So, I write both prose and poetry, and I love reading and writing in any form. So, and I'm really happy to be sharing this platform with so many fellow story lovers. In fact, I also have an adult storytelling platform which I host with a friend. That's it. I'm going to get down into this story, which may bring a slightly darker hue into all the stories that I've been listening so far, but interesting nevertheless. So, this one, as ma'am said, is from the Arabian Nights, and this one is particularly about this very, very interesting character, Sinbad the sailor. I'm sure all of you would be familiar with this character. Now, he was one person who traveled all over, with his crew and exploring different islands, he met a lot of different people, discovered fantastic treasures, met some monsters, all these things on his travels. And this one, the one that I'm going to narrate to you, Old Man and the Sea, is happened on his fifth voyage. Now, this is a story that impacted me so much as a child and continues to impact me even today, well into adulthood. All right. So, Sinbad, on this particular voyage, had just escaped a ship that had capsized, but that's a different story as to how the ship had capsized. I'm not getting into that. So he was lucky enough, his crew had disappeared. He didn't know where the rest of the sailors were. He managed to get a floating bit of wood, and paddling his way, he managed to reach one of the many little islands that were sprinkled across the sea. So, this particular island, he dragged himself, lay down for a few minutes, and looked around and told himself, yet another uninhabited island, okay? But I need to find something to eat because I'm starving. So, he got up, looked around. Sure enough, he found a patch where there were lots of berries. He managed to find some fruit, and so he satisfied his hunger somewhat. But the thirst was still remaining. He was extremely thirsty. So he needed to find a source of fresh water. He said, okay, anyway, no one's here. Let me start looking. And he slowly started exploring the island. Now he went in a little further, and sure enough, he came across this lovely little brook, okay, a very bubbling little thing. And he was saying, oh, there's my water. And even more wonderful was that when he walked towards the pool, towards the brook, sorry, he saw a man sitting next to it. So he says, oh, lovely, there's another human being apart from me on this island, and he was thrilled. See, he approached the man, but as he got closer, he realized that this was a very, very old man, so feeble, so emaciated that he looked almost skeletal, and he was dressed only in leaves. Nevertheless, Sinbad approached him and tried to speak to him. But when he did that, he realized that the old man was on mute because he wasn't answering him in any words. But he kept gesticulating, and studying his gestures and his body language, he realized that this old man wanted to be taken across the brook to the other side where he could see lots of fruit and, berries. Sinbad thought to himself, now if I do a favor here and I help this old man, perhaps the great Allah will be happy with me and help me out of this remote island, I might find a way out of this. And so he bent down and the old man climbed onto his shoulders. His legs went around his neck and he held his head. Okay, that was the most secure position that he could sit in. It was very skinny, very light, very frail. And Sinbad started crossing the brook. Now, as he started crossing the brook, it was not a very deep brook, so obviously, which is why he could wade across. Then, when he waded across, while he was just about to reach the other bank, he had a feeling that the legs that were around his neck were tightening a little bit, So then he dismissed it, telling himself that no, he must be scared. After all, he's on my shoulder and I'm walking across a brook. For crying out loud, he would be worried. So he reached the other side and then he bent down very respectfully so that the old man could get off. But did he get off? No, those legs became snake-like and they went around his neck, holding him in an unbelievably wise and strong, a strong, very, very strong kind of a grip. It was like a vice. Sinbad started feeling like he was getting strangled. And then this old man started beating him on his head, his neck, his shoulders, and started speaking with guttural words, and told him, dude, I want to get that fruit. Sinbad was too shocked. He didn't think such a frail creature would turn into something else on his shoulders, but he thought, okay, he's old, something's wrong with him. And he went and did whatever the old man asked him to do. The old man asked him to get some fruit for him. He did that, get some water. He wanted to pick something up, but he never once got off his shoulders. And if ever Sinbad stalled or stopped for a minute, he would beat him in such a horrible way, in such a cruel way, that Sinbad would be forced to continue. Now, this torture happened throughout the day. But as dusk approached, Sinbad was a little hopeful. Even this old man had to sleep, right? And he thought when he slept, I can slowly slip him off my shoulders and get away. But the old man slept. His legs seemed to have a life of their own. They did not lose the grip around his neck. And he was stuck with the whole old man. He couldn't do anything but grab a few berries which were near him, and he tried to sleep. And when morning approached, at the stroke of dawn, the old man was back to battering him again and asking him to do things. He realized that he was a slave of this old man who wouldn't get off his back. And Sinbad continued for a few days. And as the frail man grew chubbier and, stronger and more cruel, Sinbad grew frail, he grew feeble because he could hardly get any food. Whatever little he could forage was at the end of the day when the old man slept on his shoulders. Okay? So when this torture was going on, one of their visits when they were looking for food, when Sinbad was looking for food, he found a few gourds. Okay, those are those vegetables with thick outer skins, rinds, and inside there's pulp. So he managed to, when the old man was asleep and when they were camping in that spot, he scored out a couple of them and left them to dry in the sun. So they become hard vessels because Sinbad had discovered some grapes on his way on one of their trips, and around the island. So once these were dry and they were actually vessels, he brought some of those grapes and put it in and closed it, hoping to make a kind of crude wine for himself. Okay, and he did that, and after a few days, sure enough, when they passed by and he checked, he did have a crude wine, but wine nevertheless. So when the old man went to sleep, he had a few sips to help him ease his pain and sleep a little because the poor man was starving. The old man wouldn't let him eat much, and he was getting weaker and weaker. He could barely carry him around. So this happened whenever the old man went to sleep. But one day, it so happened that he was so tired and so eager to drink the wine, he hadn't realized that the old man wasn't completely asleep. And when he was sipping his nectar, the old man sat up. What are you drinking? He wanted to know. So he says, oh, it's nothing. It's just something I made. I want it. How dare you drink something without giving it to me? And he said, okay, his heart sank. Sinbad's heart sank. Okay, here goes. This is the last resort that I had. That's also gone. Here, you can drink it. And the old man sipped it. He liked the taste. He sipped a little more. And he said, this is lovely. And you've been enjoying this by yourself, and gives him another whack and says, give me more. He pours some more and he drinks a lot. As he drinks, he starts singing, in some language that Sinbad didn't know if it could be called singing. Sinbad was upset at first, but then he realized that slowly those legs were beginning to lose their grip a little around his neck. Now that was a good sign. So he kept pumping more wine. He took out everything that he had and poured it. Please, drink, you can drink it. Sure enough, after a few gourdfuls of wine, the old man lost his grip on Sinbad's neck, and Sinbad found the opportunity, threw him out, and this is a rather brutal end, but this is an adult story, a telling platform, so it's okay. He uses a stone and beats him to death. Okay, that's the story, but it continues. Once the man is killed, he crawls because he could barely walk. He was so starved and dehydrated. He crawls to a patch of berries, eats some, sleeps that night peacefully, wakes up in the morning, and he does this for a couple of days, a few days, till he builds up some strength. And as luck would have it, on the fourth or fifth day, he saw a ship passing by, and he hailed to the ship as they did in the olden days by lighting a fire. And very soon he was safe on the ship. Now, when he was on the ship and the sailors asked him, what were you doing on that particular island? And looking at his condition, he was not still recovered. So he said, he told him about the old man. And the sailors looked at him in wonder and awe and appreciation and said, have you any idea the kind of favor that you've done for all us sailors? So he says, no, what are you talking about? He says, that old man over there was a monster who used to lure sailors in that feeble form. And then when he got onto their shoulders, he would make them his slaves. And make them his slaves and make them do his bidding until they reached a situation where they were half dead. And then he would eat them up. So that is a monster that you destroyed. We are so thankful for you, thankful to you for ridding us of this monster. And Sinbad is very happy. He says, oh, I didn't know that. So he feels, better about having destroyed that old man. And the sailors pump him with lots of food and delicacies and drinks and wine. And he has everything. Sinbad has everything to his fill, but he does not touch the wine. And that's where my story ends. Now, this is a story which has impacted me as a child. As a child, I used to be terrified, of this old man. I mean, how crazy is that? He turns out someone so frail, someone so, hardly someone who could be considered dangerous turns out to be such a horrible monster. And this story, as they say, it's a metaphor, you could say, where it talks about how certain annoyances in life burden us so much that we are not ourselves until we get rid of them. But what I see in this is, again, where do you place your trust? Can you really go by looks? Looks can be so deceptive, right? And again, how are we able to decide when we want to help somebody? Because there's a point in the story where Sinbad says, I don't think I'll ever help anyone again. But obviously he doesn't do that. But I think there are so many levels that the story can be read. And when I look at it as an adult now, there's again a totally different perspective. So this is a story a simple folk story had so many, which is why I find folk stories and old literature so fantastic, because they, like the layers of an onion, they keep opening up to so many different stories, so many different perspectives. And my story ends there. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
It was an amazing story. So much for this story. So he didn't leave the hope till the end, he went on and on. So that's what, I think hard work pays off at the end, I feel.
Yes, true.
So yes, over to audience, please.
Yeah, I loved your story, Sreeja. As you say, there are so many different layered messages in this story. And every age group has something to take away from the story. And so that's the beauty of a folktale, as you have rightly said. So many things that we have to ponder, as you said, whom do we help and how do we get out of a situation? How do we make best of a situation? I mean, so many things that can come up in one's mind. And the extension of the story, I mean, the possibility of extension of the story is really huge. So that's the best part.
It's never ending. Yes.
So thank you so much for bringing us this story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Loved your narration.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I mean, you have said it in a very simple way, and but it was captivating.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't move my eyes away from the screen.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Sreeja, your voice was like we are listening to an RJ on a radio and the person is narrating a story. I don't know if it is the cold, but it made your voice sound very sexy.
Thank you so much. I'm glad the cold helped. But to answer your question, I used to be an RJ.
See, I have the eye of the goldsmith. So I want to say that my mentees asked me, these stories, ये तो बच्चों की stories, अब adults के लिए क्या? So your story is a perfect example that I tell them that the same stories work for adults. And just as we've been discussing, it's the layers and peels of onion. So our perception changes. The same stories can transfer different values. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yes, rightly said. All stories work for all age groups. It's just how the person interprets it. So, right. So it was very nice. And your story especially had that hook. His legs were getting stronger and stronger around him. So that was the hook we were all glued to. So what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So that kept us engaged, actually.
Yeah, it's
So
very,
as
there's
an
a very
RJ,
creepy element to it, but at the same time, you know that, and so nice, you feel hopeful at the end. There's brutality, and life is not always roses. That's another thing that is thrown at us from the story.
yeah, so I worked as programming head in Radio Mirchi. So the thing
Okay.
we evaluate RJs is they have to start every link with a hook. Gowri it had a hook. Now everything is falling into us. And when you were narrating the story, first thing I wondered, like the pace,
Okay.
RJs speak a little more faster than,
Yeah.
normal.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but though it was with such a pace, nowhere did it lose clarity.
Okay.
And the one more thing that I felt was like it is coming from your heart. You like the story so much, and it was coming from the heart, and you wanted to tell the story, and that's what made all the difference, Shrija.
I think
Really
that's
loved it.
that's a very good point that you made, because when I, like you said, I don't practice either. I like the extempore narrative that comes out, and somehow, like you said, when you feel a story, it's there when you narrate it.
Yes, you were
And that's what
feeling
I've
the
seen all the
story.
narrations
That
today.
could be seen, totally seen today from when your narration.
Thank you so much.
Yes, as has been mentioned, the old man's legs around his neck, that's the primary image of the story.
Yeah.
Can you say anything more about that? What did that make you think of? How were you thinking about it?
Now, suppose if you were looking at it as, let's say, something that has taken over your life, bothering you a lot, let's say some issue that's happening. It gets such a grip on you that you
Mm,
become a slave to it.
mm.
So the question is, have you made yourself a slave? Okay, if you look at it metaphorically, have you made yourself a slave? Or is it your doing? Or is it the doing of whatever has taken over your life? This is one thing I'd like to bring in right here, Eric. There's this O.V. Vijayan story called The What, you know it's, of course, that's a very complicated story at so many different levels, but if you look at the basic theme of the story, it's about how a man grows a wart, and the wart starts growing bigger and bigger, and after some time it takes over his personality. It tells him what to do. So creepy as hell, but highly metaphorical. So something like this, where we let something grow and we give ourselves up to that particular, issue or problem, and it takes over our lives when actually it is in our hands to do something and get rid of it. That's one which comes to mind. I'm sure there are lots of other thoughts and perspectives.
Thank you.
Yes. So finally, we have Priyanka Sagar Maheshwari from Noida sharing From Longing to Legacy, a Punjabi folk tale. Wow, I'm so excited to hear that. A story that speaks of roots, belongings, and what we leave behind. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Sheetal. We've been traveling to different places today thanks to the stories. So, this is the last story for the beautiful evening. Sit back and relax. I have a question. Do you think there can be a story that can travel from generation to generation? Do you think there can be one story that can show the transformation from longing to legacy? Hi, I'm Priyanka, and I believe that storytellers do not select the story. It is the story who selects us. Ever since I've heard this story, it has been tugging at my heart. And today, I present it to you. So sit back, relax, and see what the story is telling you. Chenab, a river that is sweetened with love. Chenab, a river in India that has probably seen all 7 stages of love. So, on the banks of Chenab, a river in Punjab, in the country India, lived Tula. Tula was a potter. He used to make mati ke bartan, utensils and pots from earth and soil. And that is what he used to do for his living. A day came in the life of Tula and his wife, a day that brought joy and love and innocence in their lives. Tula was blessed with a baby girl. Oh, Soni, Meri Soni. Soni, which in Punjabi means the beautiful girl. And Sony, look at this, had peaches and cream complexion. She had lips like the rose petals. She had eyes that were glistening with joy. And the days were filled with love and happiness. They say as Sony grew up, so did her beauty. Sony became even more beautiful as time passed by. But as time passed by, Tula the potter started having a weak eyesight. He started teaching his skill to his daughter, how to make those earthen pots, how to fire them in the furnace. And you know what Sony did? She added to the skill. She started painting flowers on the pots, red and white flowers. They say that the earthen pots of Tula and his daughter Soni were famous not just in Punjab or India. They were famous even in the whole of Middle Asia. At the same time, in Uzbekistan was a tall, dark, handsome man, and his name was Izzat Beg. Izzat Beg was a trader. Do you know who's a trader? Yes, of course. He buys the things from one place and for profit sells at another. So Izzat Beg from Uzbekistan with a group of his traders, co-traders, came to Lahore. After that, he traveled to Delhi. But he couldn't really, he didn't really like Delhi. And that is when he heard about the earthen pots of Tula. So here, Izzat Beg arrived right outside the house of Tula. And amongst hundreds of earthen pots, some big, some small, some tiny, some thin, some fat, sat, clad in red, beautiful clothes, are Soni. Izzat Beg looked at Soni. वो वाला दीजिए. ये तो अभी कच्चा है. कोई बात नहीं, वही दीजिए. And Soni handed over the earthen pot to Izzat Beg, and the fingers met. Dilkashi, love at first sight it was. That night Izzat Beg lived the experience. He remembered how those soft fingers touched his hands. He wanted to relive it. He wanted to see her again and be with that one glance of the beautiful girl. The Dilkashi turned into uns, infatuation. आप सही कह रही थी, ये तो कच्चा है, बदल दीजिए. Next day, ये नहीं वो चाहिए, वो नहीं वो. Every day Izzat Beg used to be there to buy some pot. It was then that the friends and the co-traders told Izzat Beg, क्या कर रहे हो? You are buying pots from this man and selling in his same village at a loss. You're going to lose all the money, Izzat. You're going to be out of all the savings. We are going back. We are going back to Uzbekistan. आप लोग चलिए, मैं आ जाऊंगा. And so all the co-traders left the village. And slowly, Izzat Beg was out of money. He reached Tula and he asked for some work. अब तुम ये कुम्हार तो नहीं सीख पाओगे काम. ऐसा करो, तुम भैंसी और गाय को चराओ. He asked him to become a shepherd. And in Punjabi, a buffalo is called mahiye. And that is how Izzat Beg became Mahiwal. Yes, Sohni and Mahiwal. Sohni knew that this man is here away from his friends, away from his family, left the work as a trader and become a Mahiwal only for her. The love was now transferring from one soul to another, becoming muhabbat, love. And when the pot of love is ripening in the heat, who will not come to know about it? The villagers did. The mother and father did. That time, the mother faced the daughter. मैं महिवाल के लिए बनी हूं. Every breath that I take is for my lover. If we are not together, I will die. Aqidat. There was trust, and she was ready to leave everything for her beloved. Whether that generation or this, what would parents do if the girl is wanting to marry outside the community, not in the caste? They were forceful and they found someone who was from their community who was a potter. And they married her off. And what better? They sent her on the other side of Chenab. Na rahega baas, na bajegi bansuri. And so Soni was married and stayed on the other corner of the river Chenab. What happened to Izzat Beg? What happened to our Mahi? In clothes like a fakir, like a beggar, like a saint, there was ibadat, devotion. And his devotion made him make a small hut, a jhopadi on this side of the river. All he wanted to do was have one look at his lover, Soni. The marriage was never accepted by heart by Soni. And the potter, the husband, had to travel in India and abroad. He was not there most of the times. I think Soni took use of this opportunity. Every night, she used to keep one fired pot, a pot that was fired in the furnace. She never knew swimming, so she put that pot, and through the waves of Chenab, she went and met her beloved, her Mahi, and that was her Junoon. Every night, one earthen pot fired in the kiln, and it took Soni over the waves of Chenab to the lover. They used to speak about their love. They used to sit in sukoon, and then with the same pot, she used to return. One day, Mahiwal knew that Soni, his love, is going to come. He went in the kitchen and he saw in the rasoi ghar there was nothing. He had nothing left with him. There was no chawal, there was no dal. And that moment Soni came. And in a very feminine manner, she squeezed the dupatta and hung it to dry. She put the pot on the side. Mahi, badi bhukh lagi hai. I'm hungry, she said. Mahiwal went in the kitchen. There was nothing. You know what he did? They say that day he chopped a part of his leg, the inner thigh to be precise, and cooked for his lover. Slowly Soni ate. Aaj kuch alag hai. There is something different. I have cooked for my love with my love, said Mahiwal. There was nothing more said. She went back. That night, my dear friends, Soni's husband's sister came to know, ये तो किसी रात को घर ही नहीं होती. She is never there at any night here. And she replaced the fired pot with a pot that was just dried in the sunlight. Kacha khada. A mati that was not fired in a furnace. And they cannot tell us whether she knew or not. But my heart knows that the daughter of a potter who has forever baked pot knew that that pot isn't baked. But she decided, today I have to meet my lover. Dead or alive, we have to be together. We have to be one. She took the pot. In the high tides and the high waves of Chenab, she went. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and the clay of the pot started mingling and merging with the soil of Chenab. Mahi! Mahi! Said the drowning Soni. And Mahi, when he saw this happening, he couldn't resist. He jumped. He knew swimming. He knew he could be together. He could save her. They held the hand. But you know what? He couldn't move. He thought she'll take her dad's side, and that wasn't possible. Probably both of them could come this side of the bank. That wasn't possible. It was the injury. It was the cut leg that made them go down in the river. They say next morning when the fishermen put the net, they saw two bodies, but the hands could not be separated. And so, Soni and Mahiwal were together, if not in life, in death. And that was their surrender. Thank you.
Very, very heart-touching. Thank you so much for that wonderful story, Priyanka. Yes. Why did you select the story today?
It totally surprises me, Sheettal. It surprises me how we surrender, how knowing the truth, we just sometimes just decide to take a step. Is that the final stage of love when we decide to finish our ego and finish our body and go beyond that?
And what if you were supposed to change the ending of the story?
I want to share that this story has been traveling from generation to generation, mostly through oral narration. It was
Yes.
very,
The movie
very,
also
very
has
late.
come. Soni
Yes,
and Mahiwal movie also has come long
it
time
came
back.
quite later, but just imagine that we are passing on this dharohar, we are passing on this treasure through us. It is being going through storytellers like us, and I hope that we are able to pass it on to the next generation because this happened.
Yes. No, but you didn't answer my question. What if you were supposed to change the ending?
I would not change a thing.
No, if you were the storyteller at that time, what would you change in the story?
I would change the story. I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful how the lands are transcended, the boundaries are, left, the name is changed. It is beyond all kind of boundaries and borders. So this story has been speaking with me so much that as it is beautiful. You don't want to change a grandma's recipe. You don't want to modernize it. Just like that.
But why wouldn't we think of keeping them alive?
Because sadness speaks to you in the depth of your heart. When I go to the live shows, 9 out of 10 poets would talk about heartbreaks and they would talk about some pain. So I guess we as storytellers look for that challenge, look for that conflict in a story. We look for that pain. I want to hear your views.
Yes.
Yeah, can
Over
I
to
go
audience,
ahead?
please. Thank you.
First of all, it was lovely narration, Priyanka, and the emotions were so true to the story that you were trying to narrate. So I loved it, and I like the fact that you have tried to portray the different stages of love here in Arabic stories, and when we write poems, also the different stages of love. And I agree with you that the ending cannot be anything different because the ending clearly shows that their love had transcended the materialistic things, the mortal world. It had become immortal. So, this is the best ending that can be given to a story. That transcendence has been shown beautifully here. And especially when you said that the next day their hands were just glued to each other and it could not be separated, it shows that their love did not need a validation from the real world because they were already their souls had already united. So that metaphorical meaning has come out so well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gauri.
May
I
I?
think so because Eric mentioned about the transformation. He mentioned that in the mail. So I think this transformation of,
Yeah, that's what I said.
it's really like the childhood of love, not our childhood, the childhood of love, and then the teenage of our love, and then our love maturing, isn't it? Yeah, Shri, you were saying something.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was very beautiful. I love the intensity of the love story. And what is very strange is when you look at all very, very well known love stories, there's a similar kind of a situation where true love finds it hard to survive in a normal human world, isn't it? You find that there's something that obstructs, and in order to survive, you have to transcend to the next level. So, and it was a beautiful narration. In fact, I didn't know the details of the story, which you brought out very well. It was lovely. And yes, I also feel I'm also one who prefers happy endings. But like you said, this story can't be told in any other way. It is beautiful as it is. Lovely narration. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the story. If I had narrated this, definitely I would have cried. You had said it the way, it was really good. I mean, I like Sreeja was telling, I like only good ending stories. And this kind of stories definitely would make me cry. So you had done a great job of narrating it without crying. And of course, there are all, they say, all good love stories end in tragedy.
Mhm.
Maybe this is
Yes.
also.
I would like to mention here, Jayanti ma'am, that this story has been passed on from generations, as I mentioned, through folk songs. So there are many folk songs that are carrying this story, and a newer version of that is a Coke Studio version, where a Pakistani singer is singing. It's called Par Chana De. Chana is Chenab. So
Okay.
from one corner, one bank of Chenab to the other. I have listened to the song and I have done my crying bit. So you are right, Jayanti ma'am. Please listen to that.
Okay.
Sheetal, I like to say, Sheetal.
Ji. Yes, please, Veena.
Veena ma'am.
Uh, these are timeless tales, and you really touched my heart. And the usage of both the language made the story come alive. Your narration, your gestures, everything really touched us so much. Really enjoyed. And it's true, we'd never love to change this ending. This is what touches the heart. Really enjoyed it, loved it. And all the other storytellers, thank you so much for gifting us fascinating stories. All of you were awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veenaji. Now, can I?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I always look forward to Pre's stories, and today, Pre, thank you so much for choosing the story. For me, Soni Mahwal is only that, Poonam Dhillon and Poonam Dhillon's movie
Yes,
that I saw in my
same,
growing up
same.
years. But your narration was like, it absolutely faded every memory that I have of whatever. And this story will be there with me for a long, long, long time. It was so poignantly told and felt, and every expression, every nuance was spot on. And yes, totally agree with you. Some endings, the analogy of a grandmother's recipe, not even a tiny weeny bit of the story can be or need to be changed. कुछ कहानियां अमर होते हैं, अमर प्रेम, and that is what this is meant to be.
Wow.
So in love with the story and your
Thank you.
narration.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like the line where you said, "Ye to kacha hai." It was very beautifully said, where she describes the pot,
The
right? It's
blend
very
of
how
Hindi
the
and
love
English
story
was
begins.
superb.
Thank you. Thank you. If you listen to the song, the pot says, "Kachi meri mitti, kacha mera naam ji." I'm raw. I will break. I think it is talking about our bodies. It is talking about our bodies and soul.
Hmm.
This is all
Yes.
temporary. This is all kacha. It will go away. Yeah, but something will remain.
Yeah.
For me, it was like a singer of Romeo and Juliet, which,
Ah,
Yeah.
which is so eternal all time, right? I was thinking, oh, not bad. This is almost matching to that. It was wonderfully explained. Very lovely done. Yeah.
if we can
You,
talk about international stories, let us take pride in our own country.
yes, that's what I
Our,
felt. So
our,
that's
our
what I
desh ki
felt.
mitti.
So, yes. And I saw a lady Shakespeare knew the way you explained. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gauri, I just want to say I love your backdrop. The moment I saw that, I was so fascinated what will happen. It's beautiful. It's really going with the story so well.
Yeah, thank
The
you. It
scarecrow
had all
and
my main characters there. That's why I just put that
yeah,
backdrop.
it's looking very good. Yeah, very interesting.
Okay, so we come to end of today's session. To our wonderful storytellers, thank you for your voices, your imagination, and the worlds you opened for us today. To all our listeners, mainly, right? Without them, we are nothing. So, thank you for all your presence and attention because every story truly comes alive when it is listened deeply. As we step into the new year and move closer to the Chennai Storytelling Festival 2026, may we continue to gather like this, share stories, building bridges, and finding meanings together. The next month session won't be there because the festival would have started by then. So, I would like to close with a beautiful proverb that reminds us why story matters. Like a story is like a bridge, it takes you where you are and leaves you where you need to be. So, with that, thank you once again. Thank you, everyone, for joining today and have a lovely night.
Thank you.
Thank
Beautiful
you,
Thank you.
Sheettal.
hosting.
Thank you,
Beautiful
Eric.
hosting,
Thank you,
Sheetal. Thank you so
Sheetal.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Sheetal
Good
has
night,
always
everyone.
loved your questions, loved the way you compare. And thank you, Eric,
Thank
for
you
this
so much,
Thank
wonderful
Sheetal. Thank you
platform.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Eric, for this platform.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Eric.
All the
Bye,
stories are
everyone.
exceptional, so beautiful stories.
Thank
yes.
you.
Lovely evening.